There we go. Hey everyone, welcome to today's live on multiple social media platforms, or wherever you're tuning in from, or wherever you're watching this replay from. Appreciate you tuning in. Today we're going to be chatting about a couple different things, buying real estate in the US. Wanted to find something here for you guys. There we go. So, okay, Mel and I, we live in North Bay, Ontario, Canada. So we are Canadians, but we buy in 5 different countries. So we buy in Canada, US, Costa Rica, Mexico, Dominican Republic. And we also show people how to do the same, right? So whether you are investing in Canada, we can help you. Whether you're investing in the US, we can help you. Or if you did want to start going to some other places like, the Caribbean places, Costa Rica, Mexico, Dominican. I guess Caribbean is Mexico and Dominican. Costa Rica is what? What is that? South America, Latin America, I forget exactly what it's called, but we can help you invest in different places. But today we are going to go over, because in the US, right, Mel and I invest in 3 states in particular, right? Texas, Ohio, and Florida. And on today's live, I'm going to chat about why we chose those states, okay? Because there's obviously, 50 states. And I'm not saying only do those states, but what I'm getting at is these are the ones that we chose and why we chose them. And that's what we'll go over. So if you have any questions, definitely in the chat. The chat is open. Sorry, I'm just getting some info here. I'm going to put as well here. I'm going to put a link for you guys in the chat. This is actually Mel and I's new software, or AI software. Okay. It basically shows people, it's an AI software for the US, how to find deals, right? It's using artificial intelligence. It's literally predicting in the next 90 days whether this person will sell it on the MLS, whether this person will sell it directly to an investor like myself, or if this person will sell it to a wholesaler. Okay. And it uses like 40 years of back data, 40 years of previous data from MLS. Okay. And it has billions of touch points of data as well. It'll see things like whether someone, it looks like they're getting divorced, or if they're back on their taxes, or if they're a bored investor, if the place is vacant, if there's a construction lien or a mechanic lien. It'll show whether they're completely paid off, right? If they'll accept a cash buyer, if they'll hold financing. So this app is absolutely amazing. Go check it out. Mel and I, we've been working with the developers, and it's officially launched. And it's absolutely amazing. Why not use AI for your deals in the US? Okay. So let's chat about, and I put some notes here that I wanted to go over. Let's chat about the 3 states in particular that Mel and I are investing in and why. And please, if you have questions, put it in the chat as well. Okay. So Texas, let's start off with Texas. Now, Mel and I have never been to Texas, so you do not necessarily need to go to the places you're investing in, right? So we've never been to Texas. We're definitely going to go to Texas. Go check out the properties we have, and go check out, make it obviously a write-off and make it a vacation at the same time, and do some different things. But we haven't been there yet. So you can invest in different, whether you're in the US, in different states, right? Or if you're in Canada, you can invest in different countries without actually going there, right? I'm coming to you live from North Bay, Ontario, Canada, even Costa Rica. When we bought there, we hadn't been there yet either, okay? Is it scary? Is it a little bit out of your comfort zone? Absolutely. But it's doable. And that's what Mel and I show in our Action Family Mentoring program. We show you exactly how to do it like we do it. Okay, so let's dive into Texas. So I've got some top 5 reasons as to why Mel and I invest there, okay? So rapid population growth. You guys know this, especially during, COVID, pandemic, whatever you want to call it. People were flocking there, right? So it's one of the fastest growing states. It attracts a lot of new residents and a lot of business, okay? So what do you want when you're investing somewhere? You want to invest somewhere where people are going to, not where people are leaving, right? So Texas has that check mark, okay? Number 2, they are pro-business. They are pro-investors, which is so important, right? And what does that mean to be pro-business as a state? Well, low taxes, okay? Low taxes is a huge thing. If you're making money and you're paying it all to the government, what's the point? You know what I mean? So they have low state taxes. They have minimal regulations, which makes it a hub for corporations. So think about this. Why does it matter if it's pro-business? Well, who's going to rent your units? Tenants, okay? You want good tenants. You want lots of tenants and applicants, right? So if businesses are flocking to Texas because of the low taxes and the low, or the minimal, I shouldn't say low, the less red tape, the minimal red tape, they're going to attract jobs, right? And those people who are working there will need places to live, especially when they move there in the beginning. They're going to want to rent or check out different areas, right? So that's going to be good for you as an investor. Number 3, right? Booming job market. Now, it's not just booming jobs, it's diverse industries, okay? Like tech, energy, healthcare, and finance. And that's kind of, it ties into the other point that I said. These people, need places to live, right? So demand, right? That's good. That's why we're investing in Texas. Number 4, affordable housing market. Okay, compared to other states, it's definitely affordable, right? Which makes it a better price to value ratios, which is important. Again, I won't get too specific in that. And then number 5 is a strong rental demand. Now, this is going to depend. I'm not saying the entire state of Texas has a strong high demand, right? Because there's some places, South Texas, where there's like 9% vacancy rate. So again, when you're going in as an investor and you're looking at different states, it's not every single city that will be the absolute best. Because if you have a place that has, let's say, higher vacancy rates, yeah, okay, booming and taxes and all that, but if no one's renting your units, or if you can't increase the rents as an investor, because then you'll have vacancies, it's also kind of a moot point. Okay, and some of the top 3 cities that are booming in Texas are Austin, right? There's a tech boom, growing population. DFW, Dallas, Fort Worth, right? Economic hub, diverse industries, and then also Houston has a strong energy sector. Okay, these are just notes I had given myself earlier when the team and I decided what I'd be chatting about today. If you have any questions, again, let us know. The cool thing about Texas is, how do I say this? APS, so agreement for purchase and sale. Every state, or PSA, purchase and sale agreement. In Texas, the PSA or APS, whatever you want to call it, I forget now exactly how they call it, actually has in there, because we're all about seller financing and other people's money. So if, let's say you're in Ontario, or if you're in Alberta or other places, other provinces or states, like, they don't necessarily have it in there if there's seller financing included. In Texas, it's in there. It actually has it. Is the seller participating in financing? It's literally in their paperwork, right? Which I love. I'm like, hey, it's ingrained in people that they understand that seller financing is a thing. Okay, the US, they'll call it more carrybacks or holding notes or holding mortgages, but same as seller financing or vendor takebacks in Canada. Okay, so that's why we invest in Texas. Florida. I guess we're saving Ohio for last. Florida is next. Now, actually, sorry guys, didn't mean to cough in your ear. This week, we're actually releasing, if you're not following us on YouTube, because again, I don't know what platform people are on right now, and not that it necessarily matters. Oh, here, I'm going to get copy link. I'm going to put this in the chat too. The team is telling me, because we have a webinar going on tomorrow, right, where we actually break down the 4 different types of creative financing that we do. And then we also go through about 4 or 5 deals as well, some in Canada, some in the US, some in Costa Rica. So definitely don't be shy to check that out. Now, if you are following us on YouTube, like if you're seeing me live here, definitely make sure to subscribe to the channel, okay? Or if you're not following me, if you're on Instagram or Facebook, again, we're live on multiple platforms, definitely give us a follow on YouTube as well, because we release a video every single week. So this upcoming video is actually our trip to Florida, right? We check out one of our condos, we do different things. The week after, so not this week, but next week, we're actually going to be releasing another Florida video, and that's a walkthrough of our most recent property that we bought in December. Okay, so anyway, check those out. Those will be released over the next week or 2. Something I didn't talk about as well is a week from now on the 29th, it's kind of cool because Bank of Canada, so whether you're Canada or US, doesn't matter. Bank of Canada will be doing their interest rate announcement. They're predicting that they're going to cut by 0.25. Let's hope they do that. And then the Fed, they're predicting they're probably going to stay steady or maybe cut by 0.25. I hope they cut. Anyway, so I guess we'll see. But in a week from now, both the BOC, the Bank of Canada, and the Fed will be announcing. So if you're watching this replay after, right, you're like, Dave, that's old news. You're in the future already. But okay, so let's dive into Florida. The 5 reasons we invest in Florida, especially Orlando. Like the last place we just bought was in Orlando. So the top reason, right, is a tourism magnet, which I'm not telling you anything different, right? People flock to Disney World or Universal or all the other theme parks that are there. It's a hub. Or they just go to Florida because they want to escape the winter. Like it's minus, well, I think it's minus 20 today. It was minus like 30 the last 2 days. That's Celsius where I live, right? So people flock to Florida for tourism. There is, number 2, there is no state income tax. Like think about that. There is no state income tax. So think about this, and I forget the numbers exactly. So if you want to be somewhere that's sunny, okay, you could pick, I don't know, California. And I think their state is like 12 or 13. Don't quote me on any of this, guys. It's 12 or 13, okay? It's snowing there today. Although it's snowing in Florida as I'm talking. You know what? There's no way in heck it's as cold as it is where I am. Some of our buildings had some freezing pipes. Anyway, the team's been dealing with it. But what was I saying? So think about this, just tax-wise, okay? So you could live in California, and I'm picking on California. And I think it's like, 12 or 13%. Do not quote me on that. I'm going from memory, so I could be completely off. The state tax is that, or whatever, something like that. So you could have and obviously different atmospheres, right? West Coast and East Coast and different climates and that. But if you're looking just for sunshine, you could, and you're cool with whatever, you could have one state that there's 0 state tax, and you could have one that has whatever, 13 or what I had mentioned. So it's a huge difference. As a real estate investor, that's huge. Even if I don't live there, even if I don't go, having the real estate there in general is going to be so much more beneficial. Okay. Number 3, booming rental market, high demand for vacation and longer term rentals. Yes, 100%. So in Canada and in the US, Mel and I do not do short-term rentals. Okay, with an asterisk, except for Florida, except for Orlando, we do short-term rentals. Okay. Number 4, growing economy, supported by diverse industries, right? So the tech and the healthcare is booming there as well, and obviously tourism, I'm not going to keep saying that. And number 5, why people invest in Florida and why people are flocking to Florida, the year-round appeal, right? So you can go in November or December. It may not be 30 degrees Celsius, right? But you're still going to have some 18, 25. It's still not snow. Right? You can still play around at golf. You can still go to the beach. You can still not be in snow, right? So that's why people are investing in Florida. Top 3 cities. Obviously, I'm biased here. Orlando. I just purchased in Orlando. Sorry, I shouldn't say Orlando. So if you're looking at the map, if you're looking on Google Earth Orlando, go just a little south. They basically call it the 4 corners. So there's Kissimmee. Oh gosh, I'm going from memory. There's Kissimmee. There's Davenport. There's like Winter Haven or Winter something, and then there's something like Cloverdale or Clove, something like that. Anyway, that's the 4 corners, and you don't even know when because we were in Kissimmee and then we flipped over to Davenport as we're driving, and then the place we just bought is in that Winter Haven or Winter. Anyway, but those 4 corners, it's all kind of the same thing. It's a touristy area. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. But that's like the Orlando type area. Okay. Tampa has rapid growth and is also revitalizing the downtown. Yeah, so Tampa and Clearwater, obviously hot places to be investing as well. And this one I put in, it's not cheap. I put Miami, right? Miami has this international appeal. It's kind of like a luxury market, but it is very expensive. So it might not be for everyone, but I wanted to throw that in there for 3 top places in Florida. Okay, so, and Mel and I have been to Florida multiple times. Hopefully you join our YouTube channel so that you'll actually see our vlog and the next week after the condo walkthrough, okay? Now, the 3rd state that we're going to chat about today is Ohio. And why did we pick Ohio? So this is just my opinion, okay? And take it or leave it, whatever you want. With Ohio, there's a lot of other states that are relatively inexpensive. And Ohio is definitely one of those inexpensive states. However, in my opinion, it's a little bit more investor friendly and landlord friendly than somewhere like Michigan. And I'm not saying don't invest in Michigan. I almost bought a couple of places in Detroit, Section 8, but we decided to focus on Ohio instead because I found we just had a little bit more teeth in Ohio, and it was a little bit more investor friendly. But anyway, there's a lot of great places. So that's why we picked Ohio, is the inexpensiveness. Did I just make up a word? Inexpensiveness? I don't even know if that's a word or not, but it is inexpensive. It's low hanging fruit, right? If you've got some funds and you're like, hey, I want to try this real estate out, but I don't want to buy $1 million place. I want to buy $100,000 place or less. Ohio is a great place to, cut your teeth, make some high cash flow. Yeah, just a great overall market. Now, I've never been to Ohio either. Mel and I will go to Ohio at some point. Again, so just if you're in the US and you're like, Dave, I don't live in that state. Cool. Doesn't matter. You don't have to live in that state. Or if you're in Canada, you're like, Dave, I don't even live in that country. Cool. It doesn't matter. We can show you how to invest. Or if you're not even in Canada or the US, because again, we have people from all over the world that we show how to invest. If you're living in Mexico or India or whatever it is, like, we can show you how to buy in the countries that we buy. And today we're talking specifically the US, but we can help you do that as Canadian or US or, a foreign national, basically. So the top 5 reasons that we invest in Ohio, and I've kind of touched on these already, but is the affordable real estate. Yeah, it's one of the most affordable housing markets in the US. And if I was going to say, check out the app, the AI software that Mel and I created here. I'll just do this. If you go, you'll be able to find some deals, and this is what I love. You'll be able to find some mom and pop owners who have had it completely paid off. They've had it for like over 20, 25, 30 years. You can specify, you can narrow it down. And literally, excuse me, guys, you'll be able to negotiate whether you can get seller financing or creative financing or not. And again, they're not holding these huge amounts because Ohio is such a affordable housing market. Like, that's probably one of its biggest things going on is, excuse me, you'll have people from the West Coast that'll be like, I can buy a place for 100,000, and you can buy for even cheaper than 100,000. I'll just use that as a benchmark. They'll be like, I can buy a place for $100,000, right? We bought a triplex in last summer for $72,000. That's less than $25,000 a door. Okay. And you'll have people from other markets, like even West Coast, or it doesn't matter, East Coast too, where they're like, I can't even put a down payment on a place for $100,000, let alone get a whole, unit or units for that price. Okay. So that's why Ohio people are flocking to it. Okay. Number 2, high rental returns. Yes. So the low property cost paired with steady demand for rentals. So it's not like, hey, Dave, the place is, $100,000 to buy, but then no one's renting it. No. Okay. There is still a high rental demand, and the rents, again, when you do comparison, the amount of the amount the real estate costs versus the amount of rents you get, like, who here's heard of the 1% rule? Okay. Let's just go a quick rundown. And I'm not saying listen to the 1% rule. That is not the end all be all here. That's not what I'm saying. The 1% rule is basically quick math. If you buy a $100,000 building, that your rent can or should be 1% of that. So that's $1,000. Okay, easy math. So if you buy a $100,000 building and you get $1,000 a month in rent, you have met the 1% rule. And some people are very hard on that rule. I'm not very hard on that rule. I'll have deals that don't necessarily follow that, or that might be even better than that. So think about this. The triplex that Mel and I bought last summer for $72K, one unit, when I bought it, okay, there's 3 units here. One of them was occupied, the other 2 were vacant. So one unit is, I think she pays $825. So she pays $200, the state or the government program pays the other $625. So if you're doing the 1% rule, as long as I received $720, I would be meeting the 1% rule, right? Quick math. So the one unit alone beat the 1% rule. Renovated the other units. Now think about this, the other 2 rents, we're almost at like 2% rule, 3% rule here. So you see what I'm saying? Ohio has some very attractive real estate because of that. Number 3, stable economy. Yes, there's a growing healthcare, right? Especially Cleveland as well. I forget the place. We're just south of there, right in Akron. But yeah, it's got a stable economy as well. Emerging markets. So the young professionals, that's number four, yeah, young professionals and student rental demand, right? So that drives it as well. This is why I like Ohio. And then number five, kind of like my number one here, affordable real estate. Yes, so it is affordable, but there are a lot of affordable. Yeah, I guess I'm kind of doing something different. So number five is low entry costs, right? Great for first time investors. So what I mean by this is the purchase prices are much lower than other states. Okay, so that's one thing. So the purchase price is lower. So what I mean by number five of low entry cost versus low purchase price, it's kind of relative, but it's a little different. Is let's say even if you have money and you're not doing creative financing in other people's money, and you're buying a place for, let's do the math, you're buying a place for 72K. So you're using your own money. You're buying a place in Akron, Ohio, Cleveland, Ohio for $72,000 times 20%. So even if you are using your own money, I don't know if you guys see the math there, 20% down payment. So you're going to put your own money down payment. You're going to get financed. Even if let's say even you're Canadian and you cannot get 80% loan to value because you're a foreign national and they're only going to give you 65% loan to value max. And on the $72,000 deal, you need to come up with 35K or 35%. That's still only $25,000 down. Again, and I'm using this triplex that I bought. So even if you're using all of your own money and you're buying an asset, so for 25K USD, you can buy a triplex and get it financed as a foreign national. That's what I mean by low entry costs, okay? So, or even if you buy a single family home, I bought a single family home for, I think it was 134 or either 143, I forget. This thing cash flows like $500, $400 or $500 a month. I do nothing. USD, that's what I'm saying. So even if it is, because I don't want you guys to get set on, oh, I'm only spending 70K. No, you might have to spend 100. You might have to spend 150. It's still so cheap, right? It's still relatively cheap and the cash flow is good. Okay. Now, top three cities. So I put Columbus here. So we're kind of over here and Columbus is over there. Because it is the fact, I couldn't ignore this. So I'm not investing in Columbus yet. I should say yet, because you never know. I like the state of Ohio. Mel and I, anyway, so who knows? We might start investing in Columbus. It is the fastest growing city in Ohio, right? They have tech and education. So as I say it out loud, we're probably going to be investing at some point in Columbus as well. It is the fastest growing city in Ohio. Cleveland, I can't leave Cleveland out. Affordable prices and strong rental demand. They're doing a lot of work as well in the downtown. There's the healthcare section as well. And then Cincinnati, Cincy, right? If you're a football fan, the Bengals, growing economy and strong historical appreciation trends. Because Ohio is not necessarily known for high appreciation, right? Like in the three states that we're in, Texas, Florida, Ohio would be in third place on appreciation, right? I would put probably Florida for, again, depends. Florida first, Texas second, Ohio third. But if you can go in Ohio and have a place like Cincinnati where still affordable, still everything, and then also getting high appreciation, it might be the best of a lot of worlds, right? Sorry, I'm just writing the team something. So something that here, let me highlight this. If you're liking what you're hearing, you're like, yeah, Dave, I like this. Whether you're a U.S. citizen wanting to invest in the U.S., whether you're a Canadian citizen wanting to invest in Canada or the U.S., right? Because Mel and I we do this in Canada. We do Ontario and Alberta is where we like to buy. I'm not saying it works all over Canada. So don't think like, oh, Dave, you can do this all over Canada. Or if you're like, hey, Dave, I want to do this in the US, right? You don't have to just do those three states, like I mentioned. We have a lot of people in the Action family. Like I'm just thinking, excuse me, some people are doing New York. Some people are doing Tennessee. Some people like Arizona. Some people do like California. Some people are doing, what's Seattle? And I forget, I got a 51 in geography. But anyway, it doesn't matter. What I'm getting at is this works all over Canada. This works all over the US. That's exactly what Mel and I teach in our Action Family Mentoring Program, right? How to do this. And then if you want to take it a whole other level, how to do this, we specialize in no joint venture partners. We do not do JVs. We don't share our money with anyone, okay? We buy the assets. We control the deal. We control the money. We control the decision-making. Yeah, we'll use other people's money and we'll pay them, and we pay them well, and we love our lenders. We love and we treat them well, and they're a great part of it. It's just Mel and I have learned over the years that too many chefs in the kitchen, or whatever saying you want to insert here, we like to control the deal. We like to well, let's just use an example. So we did a refinance, not this September, like last summer. Okay. So not this, well, no, David, in 2025. So not summer of 2024. That's right. We changed. Summer of 2023, when interest rates were probably at the worst. Okay. Interest rates were at the absolutely worst they could have been in the last whatever market cycle. Mel and I did a refinance on one of our buildings at the worst time. And you're thinking, Dave, why would you do that? I thought you were a smart investor. Okay, listen, hear me out. We did it knowing that will we pay higher interest rates? Yes. We were okay with that. But we were doing it because Mel's daughter, her oldest, whatever, Caitlin, was going to school. And that was the goal. When we bought that building, we wanted to eventually refinance it, eventually give it to them. Well, all the buildings are going to go to the kids eventually. But we refinanced it and took out the money. So think about me going to a joint venture partner and explaining this. Imagine you're my partner, okay? And Mel and I own 50%, and you and whoever else you want own 50%. And I come to you with this plan. Hey, we're going to refinance this building at the worst possible time with interest rates. So it's going to be a lot higher interest rates. We need all the money. We're going to take all the money because we need to pay for our kids to go to school, and the cash flow in the deal is going to go down. That sounds pretty appealing, right? I'm sure you're thinking, yeah, Dave, that sounds like a terrible, but that's the reality of Mel and I did this. It's in a corporation that already has a lot of other assets that are racehorse assets. So we understood, okay, we're taking out the refinance. We're paying for what we want to do. We're paying a little bit more, but it is what it is. But that's why we don't do JVs, because think about that. If I came to you with that scenario, you would say, Dave, good one. Haha, good one, Dave. I'll pass, right? But when you don't have JVs, you can do what you want with your deals when you want. That's why Mel and I don't do JVs. We solely own our assets. So that's what we show people how to do. The other thing as well is creative financing, other people's money. So we specialize in seller financing. Okay, so using the seller in the form of a mortgage. We also do in Canada agreement for sale, AFS, and then wrap mortgages in the US. Okay, using registered/retirement funds. So if you're in Canada, how to use your own or other people's RRSPs or TFSAs or LIRAs. If you're in the US, how to use your own or other people's 401k Roth IRA. Okay, we'll show you how to do that. And then promissory notes, right? Now, promissory notes, I always put an asterisk here because there's been some issues with other people, not with us, right? Knock on wood, but you have to do it properly. It depending on the province or the state or whatever it is. And I'm not the expert on that, guys. I highly refer and suggest people to talk to lawyers, attorneys, notaries, whatever legal rep you have for promissory notes, as it can be considered a security. So take it serious, do it right, talk to the pros, talk to them, right? I'm not giving you advice. I'm just talking about my experiences. But those are our 4 types of creative financing that Mel and I like to use. And at the end of the day, I can talk all day about buying real estate, no joint venture partners, creative financing, other people's money. At the end of the day, what Mel and I are huge on are 2 things. I will talk about it on our webinar tomorrow, again, and that's the link. What was I going to say? I forgot my 2 things. I can only remember one. I'll talk about the one, and hopefully the second one comes. Oh, yes. Oh, no, it's not this shirt. 2 things. Number 1, action. We called it the action family for a reason, because we've noticed 2 things that I've noticed over the years. People that are successful, what makes them successful? They take action, execution. So, okay, what does that mean, Dave? I've been wanting to do real estate forever, but I haven't. Okay, so what's the difference between you and someone who has a portfolio? The action piece, okay? I'll see other people too. They'll watch a million YouTube videos. They'll read a million books. And they're like, yeah, I know a lot. I'm super knowledgeable. Okay, where's the portfolio? What's the issue? It's the action piece that is the issue. So action is actually getting coaching and mentoring, okay? And then actually applying the coaching and mentoring. And let's be honest with each other. Sometimes that's uncomfortable. 100% it can be uncomfortable. No one said that, real estate, everything is rosy and pink skies and I feel butterflies all the time. Unfortunately, it's not. There will be some uncomfortableness, especially, okay, are you a Canadian buying in the US? Right? You're romanticizing, like, oh, I'm going to be a cross border investor. But then the reality starts kicking in, like, oh, I don't know what I don't know. And I got to create LLCs and I've got to get separate entities to make sure that the CRA talks to the IRS. And like, I understand. I've been there. That's why we help. Or if you're in the US and you want to invest in a different state, like, again, there is some uncomfortableness, but action and execution is what matters. That's why Mel and I have our webinar tomorrow night. Join it. You actually get our first Amazon best-selling book if you put the link. And even if you can't make the live, cool, watch the replay and get the Amazon best-selling book. You'll be more knowledgeable and be in a better position no matter what. The second thing that Mel and I preach, exit strategy. Okay. We've all seen people that have borrowed money, right? And that they've had issues or gone belly up. They don't have an exit strategy. And Mel and I are obsessed with this. If you don't know how to pay people back or you don't have a clear exit strategy, don't touch the money. Okay. That's what Mel and I are obsessed with. Taking action and execution, right? Those are the only things that matter. And then more importantly, I should say this is the more important, is paying people back. Not getting in not jamming yourself up, right? Not paying people back is not an option. Cool. So I'll see you guys tomorrow at the webinar. I'll see you next week as well. I'll do one. I'll probably do at least one. Anyway, I'll be going live next week for sure. Bank of Canada interest rate announcement, and the Fed interest rate announcement. So definitely be going live next week. So whatever platform you're following us, definitely make sure to do that. And yeah, have an enjoyable week. And hopefully, fingers crossed, next week, both the Bank of Canada and the Federal Reserve announce some interest rate cuts.